Monday, April 7th, the City of South Fulton's Community Zoning Information Meeting. The time is now 6:03. First, we're going to go over some housekeeping items. Please refrain from talking unless you are the speaker. Please be respectful at all times. Please keep your questions and comments relevant to the topics of tonight's meeting. Please wait for the presenter to finish speaking before you ask your questions and or stating your comment. And as always, any follow-up comments can be emailed to our planning email at planning@cityofsouthfultonga.gov. How the meeting will run. First, the presenters will give their presentation, and then we will ask for the audience that if they have any questions to please come up to the mic and ask their questions. Some important dates to keep in mind for the rezoning and special use permits heard tonight. That public participation plan report will be due June 9th, 2025. And then the public hearings at the Planning Commission level will be June 18th, 2025. And then the Mayor and City Council public hearing will be July 8th, 2025. And applicants must meet all deadlines and attend each hearing in person.
All right, so all applicants for rezoning and special use cases are required to schedule at least one community meeting at a convenient time and location and notify all interested parties that are within a mile radius of the property. On these invitations, you must include the time, date, and location of your meeting, and after, you must fill out a public participation plan report. These reports are due on June 9th, and they must be submitted before you go to Planning Commission, or we will recommend denial.
Thank you, Ms. Young. As seen on the screen, we are currently in our cycle 5 for the 2025 rezoning and special use schedule. As you can see outlined in red, today is the CZIM meeting, April 7th, 2025. And if you notice, there is a blank in the calendar. That's because the Planning Commission takes the month of May off. So all cases that will be heard on this cycle will go, as I mentioned before, to the June 18th Planning Commission meeting and the July 8th Mayor and City Council meeting. The first case that we have is Z25-009. The address is 0 Ono Road. The applicant is requesting a rezone from AG1, which is our agricultural district, to CUP, which is our community unit plan district, to develop a residential community with 283 detached single-family homes on 156 acres. This is in City Council District 4. Mr. Rothman?
Good evening. My name is Steve Rothman, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. And I guess I will throw a question. Is there anyone here want specific questions on the 0 Ono Road project? If there's, I'm going to give more of a general summary then. We're proposing, the property is now zoned, it says CUP, Community Unit Plan, on the zoning map. I believe it's really AG1, which is 1 unit to the acre. And so what we're asking to rezone to is to allow 1.3 units to the acre. So we're asking a little more density. The chief reason for that is immediately to the east of this site are millions of square feet, millions literally, of warehouse. And so 1 acre estate lots are difficult to market. A few years ago, somebody came through and attempted to rezone this to 2 units to the acre. So each lot would be half an acre. That got denied. So we're coming in, again, the 1 unit to the acre development is just not something that anyone can economically feasibly do. So we're coming and asking for what amounts to 1.3 units to the acre. That's consistent with the city's long-range comprehensive development plan. So we're not only consistent with it, we're well under the 2 unit to the acre recommended density for this. And so we're asking for that rezoning. I think that's it. We honor all the required buffers, all the setbacks that are required, and so we're hopeful to get approval from City Council. And that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Rothman, thank you for that. Now's the time for the audience. If you have any questions about the applicant, please come to the mic and ask your question. Mr. Funnell, yeah, turn on the mic. Thank you.
Hi, it's Michael Venable. Just had a very general question. What type of amenity package do you have with this subdivision? Talking of like clubhouse, gym, swim, tennis, outdoor activity that, you might could elaborate on that was on the city's housing planning unit, and that was a very intense subject that came up, that they said that too many subdivisions, particularly this one when it's so far away from, you know, city facilities, what kind of activity type plan do you have proposing for this subdivision?
Great question. This is, so it's 156 acres. 100 of the acres are going to be open space. There's a large lake on the property, so obviously there's going to be the walking trails and things like that. But in terms of hardscape or amenities packages, we're proposing a clubhouse, swimming pools, and if we go through the process, we anticipate dog parks and tot lots, smaller areas interspersed throughout the community, but there will be a centralized amenity area with swimming pool and clubhouse and changing area and all that.
All right, was there any other questions from the audience? Thank you. No, I think you need it. There we go.
Okay, oh, there it is, okay. My name is Michael Shapey. I live in District 4.
I'm sorry, could you speak directly into the mic so we can hear
Sorry,
you?
my name is Michael Shapey. I live in District 4. Approximately 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there was a petition to rezone this, and there was a resounding participation from the community saying that they did not wish for it to be rezoned CUP, and the reason is that all of the developments in the vicinity are one home per acre or fewer homes per acre. Most of the lots are 1 to 5 acres. Some are even larger. So I don't understand why you're coming back with the same proposal, even higher density, after we had the response of the community recently. And then if you could tell me what kind of lot sizes you have. And also, I don't know if this question is to you, but the sign on the road was put up, I believe, on Thursday, and the meeting is Monday. That doesn't seem like time for the community to even recognize that there's a sign there, much less participate. And today I went to take a look at the sign, and it was blown down. You couldn't see the sign. So I set it back up, but I would say that most of the people in our community don't know this meeting is being held today, or that you're making this proposal.
I understand your question, and to make sure I've got it correct, the last proposal that came through, at least the paper I saw, but I didn't see the final, was that they were proposing 2 units to the acre. This one, we're proposing 1.3 units to the acre. And so over 156 acres, there's a real numbers difference. So we're coming in at a lower density. We're not at the high end of what the city's comp plan, the city's comp plan says 2 units to the acre or less. So when they came in, they were at the top end. We're coming in significantly lower, so that's the difference. The question you asked is why? Why would you do that when you just got a denial 3 years ago, I guess? You might know more than me. And the reason for that is that unlike other areas, especially to the west, which are in the middle of single-family residential, we are immediately to our east, I'm going to estimate 250 feet. there's 1 million square foot building, and that's just one of multiple buildings that are industrial. And so this property is absorbing the negative impacts of those heavy commercial or industrial uses for the entire residential area to the west. So we're bearing the brunt of that. So I see it as this is a transitional area, and so we're asking for a little bit higher density right there, because unlike the home prices that others can get, the cost to build are the same, roughly, that it's harder to ask people to buy a 1 acre lot when you've got that activity immediately to your east. So the landowner is simply running into a problem where he can't make use of this land at 1 unit to the acre. Now, he tried for 2, and that got turned down. He's trying to make it work, so that I hope that you can see this as an effort to comply with the city's rule, but also to say, I'm the landowner and the shoe pinches a little too much. I can't make it work at 1 unit to the acre. So that's why we're here 3 years later. It's actually in response to what happened and saying, well, we've got to go lower. It would be much easier to just build at 1 unit to the acre and not go through the rezoning process. But he just can't make that work. So that's why we're here. Did I answer your questions, or was there another one?
I'll answer the question about the signs.
I'm sorry?
I'll answer the question about the signs.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. That's all. I think if that answers your questions, that's all I've got.
All right, thank you. So the signs for CZM are not a requirement. We are only required to post signs for public hearings, which is for our mayor and city council meeting and our planning commission meeting. So the signs that we post for the CZM meetings are something new. We are encouraged by the turnout that we got here tonight, so we will continue to post signs for the CZIM meetings moving forward. But again, those are not a legal requirement. We're just doing those as a courtesy. And if there are any more questions, also, if you are too shy to ask questions now, there will be opportunity for you to ask questions once the meeting is over. You can interact one-on-one with the applicants themselves. But go ahead.
Hi there, my name is Brian O'Donnell. I live on Ono Road currently. My first question is, does Brent Shearer still work for Blue River?
Yes.
Okay. We've had dialogue back in October of 2024 with this development, where this was the original proposal that we had a dialogue with. And through email trail back and forth, Blue River said they could get this project all the way down to 200 units with over a 100-foot buffer all the way around. My first question would be then, why the change to revert back to your original plan that you have there?
Well, first of all, I've never seen a plan with 200 units. He does have the 100-foot buffer around, but I haven't seen a plan with 200 units, so I don't know that.
I can provide some email traffic for you, or we can wait till I'll wait till the planning commission for that if you'd like.
Okay.
That's the first. What's the price point you're expecting on this?
I'll get back to you on that. I don't have something I'm confident in saying, so I want
Okay.
to talk to him.
Do you have a targeted home builder that you are for this development?
No.
Do you have a anticipated lot size in terms of, we'll go with road footage for this?
Yes. We have 142 lots that have 50 feet of width and 120 feet of depth. 118 lots that are 75 foot of width at the road frontage and 120 foot of depth. And then 26 lots at 95 feet of width, 150 foot of depth.
So how many lots do you currently have at 85 feet wide?
100 at 85 feet wide,
Correct.
or I'm sorry, 95 feet wide, 25 lots.
Okay.
And then we've got, if you want the rest, 116 lots. at
So in the second
75.
proposal, the southern boundary on this property backs up to a bunch of homes that are on much larger than 1 acre. And the agreement with Brent and the proposal he presented last time was that he had replaced all of those lots with 85-foot lots. I think I've proven my point here that this proposal was severely rejected by his interaction with the community in the past. Dialogue ceased to exist once we said that we didn't favor this proposal. And now you've presented your original proposal for this neighborhood again. It's almost like giving us the middle finger. We listened to you, and we're going to go ahead with it anyways. The property owner happened to own also property within Palmetto, not the city of South Fulton, but Palmetto, that is directly to the northeast of that and also adjoining, that he just had rezoned to industrial. And that is going to be clear cut for additional warehouses. So the property owner has made his bed and basically put a dent into the value of this property by his own volition. The rest of the neighbors in that area are all on 1 acre lots minimum. The vast majority of us are on 5 acres and larger. We've spoken loud and clear. We're not in favor of additional density. If you would like to come in 1 acre lots, we would support that fully. We don't have a problem with that. We have tree canopy there. If you clear cut all of those trees to put your development in, guess what? We're going to see those warehouses. And sometimes there's land that just isn't meant for development, kind of like aviation. There's weather conditions you just don't want to fly. And maybe this piece of land is what we need to protect ourselves against the warehouses of which your current property owner decided to have built. So we would like to see you pull this, at least work with us, and have much larger lots that we can work with. Not back to this. This is where we started early last summer, and we've made no progress. That's it.
When you say larger lots, did you mean 1 unit to the acre or less and that's it? Or is there room to talk? I guess that's my question.
We can always talk. There's never a hard line in the sand. But we need tree cover. And for you to come in and just absolutely clear cut all of that land to be able to make this efficient, we're never going to support that.
Got it?
The other thing with this is, directly to the north, you've got wetlands. Since your property owner had those warehouses put in, there's runoff. It's continuing to affect that. The city owns a pump station just down the road from that. I don't think we really want to flood that and affect our own infrastructure. But Brent has my number, and I hope he'll continue to work, and you've got my contact on the sign-in, and I hope you'll reach out to us and work with us. We never said we were opposed to development. We don't want that.
Great, thank you.
All right, was there any more? All right, Mr. Rothman, I did have one question. Could you let us know when your public participation meeting will be for this project?
I still have not gotten the mailing list yet, and so I think I put one on the application, but since we didn't get the mailing list yet, I don't know if we've blown by it. So that's not scheduled yet, and in fact, I asked tonight, but I'll send an email tomorrow requesting the mailing list, and then once we get it, I want to give, because of the no meetings in May, I want to give like 3 weeks to give time for the mail to go and people to have a couple weeks to schedule it.
Absolutely. But you had no idea where you're going to hold the meeting at, or the?
It's the place, it's near, the city holds stuff there. It's an events place. I can't remember. I pulled it off of the.
Elegant Occasions?
Yes,
Okay.
Elegant Occasions.
All right.
I was going to call them and try to schedule something.
Okay. All right, our next case is Z25-013. The address is 0 Allen Drive. The applicant is requesting a rezone from AG1, which is our agricultural district, to NUP, which is our neighborhood unit plan district, to develop 37 single-family detached homes on 8 acres. This is in City Council District 5.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Josh Mahoney. I'm an attorney at Battle Law PC, which is at 3562 Habersham at North Lake in Tucker, Georgia, and I'm here this evening representing the applicant. Just a quick update. This was an application last year. It was a very different application last year. My client was applying to rezone from AG1 to TR to do 56 townhomes. However, when we met with the community, we did see some pushback on that, and so we withdrew that rezoning application, and then we've resubmitted this one. Our latest plan actually is not showing 37 homes, but 33 homes, and I'll make sure you all have that. We're seeking AG1 to NUP for 33 single-family detached homes, and we can go ahead and take a look at how that will lay out in the area. So this is our site plan shrunken down and overlaid onto the property. You can see how we've got our road connected in here. And then on the next slide, we can take a look at the zoning map just to show you that this is in fact AG1 and we'll be seeking again NUP. But on the next slide, we can really zoom in and take a look. So we've got our 33 lots here laid out. These are deeper lots, but the total square footage here is about 5,500 square feet per lot. We've got a gazebo up on the north side of the property, as well as some open space on the kind of southeast portion of the property. You'd see a large 100-foot buffer there. That's because we are that's at the city limit, so we're looking to meet our requirements under the ordinance and have our buffer. And then my client is interested in developing kind of a modern style home, and so I've got a couple images here. I apologize, I'm not sure what happened with the one on the right. We didn't have it in color, but we're looking for this type of modern aesthetic. And of course, these are showing 1-car garages. We will have to do the 2-car garage per ordinance, but this is really just meant as an example of the type of design that they're interested in pursuing. And with that, I'll take any questions anybody has.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Did the audience have any questions for the applicant? Please step forward. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Eleanor Ross. I live at 3855.
Ms. Ross, could you make sure that the mic is on? There we go.
Oh, there we go. Again, good evening. My name is Eleanor Ross. I live at 3855 Felwood Place. First question is, the developer still Mr. Syed Faraz? Is that how we pronounce that?
Mr. Faraz is not involved in this anymore. The development company is called Salehin.
What is it called again?
Salehin, Salehin. But Mr. Faraz is no longer associated
He's
with
no longer with the company, but
That's
it
right.
is the same company.
That's right.
Okay, so we understood from your last application that the developer had corporate investors. Is that still the case?
I'd have to check. It's my understanding that they probably do, but I don't want to tell you yes or no for sure without making sure.
And so, according to the research we conducted for the last application, we understood that the corporate investors had plans to become a part of an equity partners conglomerate. And so we know that Atlanta is a hotbed and at the top for a build-to-rent market.
Okay.
And so we wanted to be very sure that the developer for this current development coming in was building to sell as opposed to going in with plans already on the books that we're going to build to rent.
No, these are for sale.
This is a build to sell
Yes, ma'am.
and not build to rent.
That's right.
The other thing I'd like to prevail upon you is to conduct a traffic study before you come before the community. That's going to be real key. And the reason for that is that Felwood Place, which is where your proposed entrance is designated, is a one-way street. And the turnoff that you have proposed to go into the development is directly across the street from my house. And so you have 33 units now planned, and you're gonna add an additional garage, which means that you're gonna put an additional 66 cars on a street that's a one-way street. It's gonna exacerbate what's already a traffic nightmare. Fellwood Road, and I'm gonna prevail upon you to do is gonna be your key point coming in, because the question of traffic on Fellwood Road is monumental. There is a railroad that runs along Roosevelt Highway, and the train literally parks there at least several times a month.
Okay.
And so just picture a scenario where the train is parked and people are trying to come down Fellwood Road, headed north toward the railroad track to get onto the freeway. Pretty much blocks my street in, Fellwood Place. If I needed to get out of my driveway, I could not. If one of my neighbors, and 50 to 60% of those persons are elderly, if for some reason an emergency vehicle needed to get down, we'd be trapped.
So, Ms. Ross, if I could just interrupt you a little bit. Actually, I don't think we're connecting via Fellwood anymore.
So
I
you've
think the old
moved.
plan was, but this new plan, and let me double check myself here. We've got access on Springside Lane, but we don't have access to Fellwood.
No access to Fellwood.
Yeah. So I know you live right there. So
You wanna make that very clear in your community meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So
Very
we've got
clear.
it on our site plan here. We're not showing access.
Excellent. Okay, real good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Glenda Collins, and I live in the Morning Creek subdivision, down the street from Springside Lane. So your entrance and exit will be through our subdivision?
Yes, ma'am.
Has that been approved? Or did the homeowner give you the authorization to travel through that area?
So we're currently going through the approval process now, and that's what this meeting is for. It's one of several meetings. There is currently a dead end street. Let me make sure I got it. Springside Lane dead ends right into my client's property, and so they're just trying to connect in there. So we haven't, gotten approval from anybody or anything like that, and we're not looking to go through anybody's property. We're just looking to connect into the road that's already there. But if
Okay.
you mean for the rest of the community,
Yes, for
we
the rest
are-
of the community, have you
Gotcha.
contacted them?
so we're still working on getting a location for our community meeting, but we will be having a community meeting to speak with everybody, and we are aiming for about the middle of May in order to have that meeting, and so you and your neighbors will all be invited so that we can go over the details.
So are you just looking to get approval from one neighbor or from several?
If we can get approval from several, that would be ideal, of course. I don't expect or anticipate to be able to get approval from everybody, but if we can get some folks on board, then that would be great.
So in other words, the neighbors have not been notified of this change to the area?
Well, we haven't had our direct one-on-one meeting with the community yet. However, we submitted the application. I believe there was a sign posted for this meeting. This is really the debut kind of meeting for this to make folks aware of it. However, when we have our community meeting, that will be when we can really sit down and hash things out together.
Okay, I live in the area down the street. I haven't seen the sign.
Did I don't think we were supposed to post a sign. Did
Oh, it's only on Fairwood, so the people in the Morning Creek area wouldn't see it.
Gotcha. So, Ms. Collins,
Yes.
what we're gonna do is when we have our community meeting, we're gonna send out mailers. So you'll get an invitation to join the meeting in the mail. That way there won't be any issues with signs or anything like that. You'll just get it in your mailbox. And it'll have a date and time for you.
Okay, one other question. So, is it normal for the developers to appear before the CZIM prior to sending notifications of meeting Okay, I see all of you shaking your head. I guess I need
Absolutely.
to sit down then. Okay, just want to ask that question. Thank you.
Was there any more questions from the audience? All right.
It's Michael Venable. Just wanted to get some basic demographics. If you could talk about bathroom, bedroom numbers, square footage, exterior substances for the subdivision, those types of things.
So unfortunately, Mr. Venable, I don't have those details for you. However, as we move forward through the process, I'll be sure to grab them. On these homes, all I can really speak to is the design that they're looking for, and it's the type of design that I showed in my presentation. I'm working on another matter with this client. They're aiming to use things like wood, glass, concrete, high quality materials that you see in a lot of modern design builds. But we're not they don't try to use anything cheap or anything like that. And if you'd like, I can get you a list of the materials they're using on another project. It's not one for one, but I can get you those now, and then I'll work on getting you a detailed list for this one as we move through the process.
So they don't have any data on the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage of the homes yet?
I don't have it right now.
Okay.
And I'll get with
All
my
right.
client, and if you'd like, I can grab your email from the list, and then I'll reach out to you with those.
All right.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask one other question. So the materials that you use on these homes, how will they stand up to the storms that we have now?
My client is interested in building high quality homes that are going to last. So the materials will definitely be,
Constructed
yeah, these are going to be high quality homes.
on slabs? Slabs as opposed to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any more questions from the audience? All right, Mr. Mahoney, could you please go over, you said, do you have a date and location for the public participation meeting as of now?
Our location fell through.
Okay.
We're looking at one of the several libraries
Okay.
in the city, and we're looking for the middle of May. If we're looking to get May 15th, but we haven't gotten a location, so haven't locked it down yet.
All right. Our next case is U25-004. The address is 6890 Campbellton Road. The applicant is seeking a special use permit to operate a nail salon. This is in City Council District 2.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stroke Boy. I'm the owner of a nail salon, the Icon Nail Salon. I'm a new nail salon located at 6890 Campbellton Road, Suite 7, Atlanta, Georgia 30331. I'm here today to request your consideration for a special use permit that will allow us to operate in this location and bring our quality nail service to the community. Icon Nail is designed to offer a clean, relaxing, and professional environment where clients can enjoy a range of nail care services from classic manicure and pedicures to the latest trends in nail art and spa treatments. As a local business owner, my goal is to create a welcoming space that not only meets high standard of sanitation and customer service, but also contributes positively to the neighborhood. We are committed to operating respectfully, maintaining a quiet and safe atmosphere, and following all city regulation. I truly appreciate for the opportunity to be here, and I'm happy to answer any question you may have. Thank you for your time and consideration. Do you have any question?
So is this a change of ownership or completely new build?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Is this a change of ownership of the nail salon or a completely new business?
A change? Yeah.
Was there any questions from the audience? Do you know if there's any nail salons nearby?
Thank There is a nail salon near here, which name Emily near the Publix.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Reginald McClendon. I am the Managing Director of Community Development and Regulatory Affairs. The next case is Z25002/U25-005 and CDP 25-001. This case is in relation to 0 Mason Road and also 05170, 5186, 5196, 5206, 5210, 5226, and 5234 Stonewall Tail Road. This is a city-initiated rezoning to rezone properties from the AG1 Agricultural South Fulton Parkway Overlay District to the M1 Light Industrial South Fulton Parkway Overlay District. Also to amend the future development map of the city of South Fulton, also known as our South Fulton, the 2021 Comprehensive Plan, so as to redesignate the property from the Suburban 1 Neighborhood Character Area designation to the Industrial Zone Character Area designation, and to approve a special use permit for a data center pursuant to Section 803 of the South Fulton Zoning Code. This rezoning and special use request, as well as land use changes sponsored by District 3 Council Member Helen Willis. The developers of this project are here and will present more information. But it is important to remember that this is a city-initiated rezoning. There will be at least 2 public participation meetings for this request. One of them will be presented by the city of South Fulton, and citizens will receive notification of that in the mail as well as through social media. With that, I'll pass it off to Mr. Galloway.
Woody Galloway with Galloway Law Group. I'm here representing RSC Investment Management. This is Jordan Edwards. He is a partner in our law firm, and we together represent RSC. RSC has assembled approximately 60 acres of land in the southeast quadrant of the intersection of South Fulton Parkway and Stonewall Tail Road. The property is zoned AG1. We are requesting the zoning, use permit, and land use amendment for the property to allow its development for a 1.9 million square foot data center. If you would go to the next slide, please. Not everybody knows what a data center is. There's been a lot of publicity about data centers, but a lot of people don't know what they are. They're essentially just a large building that houses computer server equipment. So the computer equipment is located within the facility, and it basically just processes data. Data is brought in, processed, stored from the location, and then can be retrieved from the site. There are no hazardous substances that are associated with the data center. They do not emit any hazardous odors, any loud noise, anything to that effect. If you would go back to slide 2. The property to the north, so you see the zoomed in overlay of our site. with the blue buildings there. To the property to the north, to the east, to the west, is all zoned industrial and is developed for, or in various states of development for industrial uses. Those properties are all in Union City. If you'll also notice that to the west, there's a label Microsoft for a site that they purchased behind the Amazon warehouse there for a data center. To the northwest, in front of Walmart, which extends from the Walmart driveway to the east towards Stonewall Hotel, very close to the one of those warehouse buildings. That property is in permitting for a data center. To the northeast, you've got a site that's under development for a data center via Edge Connects. So this is the only quadrant of that intersection that is not being developed currently for a data center. The reason why this is there's such a concentration of data centers here, you'll notice there's a vertical line that extends through this property and then basically directly north. That is a very large electrical transmission line. So one thing about data centers is they do need a lot of power. And this site has access to power via that transmission line that really basically bisects this property. In addition to that, this property has, I think it's 9 separate data fiber cables that run through this property. So there's all the different utilities that you need for a data center are located here already. And we have spoken to Georgia Power. They have allocated power for the site, and that is the most difficult thing to do in data center development, is to get the power allocated. If you'll go to the 4 slides, so skip one and then go to the next one. This is just a zoomed in version of the site plan, so you see the different buildings that are being proposed. To the south, there is a residential neighborhood. We are going to be contacting them and discussing this with them. The ordinance requires a 100-foot buffer adjacent to the single-family subdivision. We have provided a 150-foot buffer and an additional setback from that to the building. But this is a quiet use. It's not, there's been a lot of confusion in the market between what are sometimes referred to as data centers, but they're really data mines. So it is a very low budget type structure. They usually use steel buildings or temporary buildings, and they basically mine information for Bitcoin. And they are very loud and very obnoxious neighbors. That's not what we're dealing with there. The buildings on that property will cost about $1,200,000. So it's far exceeds any construction that in the area other than another data center. The knock on data centers has been power. They do take in a lot of power. Georgia Power, PSC have taken steps now. Georgia Power, of course, regulates who they're going to supply power to. But the PSC has said, we're going to institute rules that say you can't, as a Georgia Power, you need to make sure that you separate commercial from residential, so that you don't have residential paying for any of the commercial demands associated with data centers. And so those rules have gone into effect. And so that was one major concern that a lot of people in the general community have had, is that it's going to cause our electric power rates to go up. There is demand on power, but this actually will, in a lot of ways, help when you have these big commercial users that use the power, they are paying the freight for going forward with supplying additional power. I will be glad to answer questions. I know there's a lot of confusion about data centers out there, but in terms of the community benefit, they generate a enormous amount of tax revenue for the city. The other slide showed at that intersection you have all of those other data centers that are either under construction or being proposed. They are in Union City. So the residents of Union City are going to get that benefit. This property is in the city of South Fulton and would, based on a recent study, we'll do a study for this particular site, but for a smaller data center in Union City, we did a third-party study, had a third-party study done, and that data center was going to generate after abatement. So a lot of times you'll go in and get tax abatements early on in a development. But after abatement, it would deliver to Union City $11.2 million on average for the first 10 years. And then it goes up because the abatements bleed off. So that is a lot of money for very, very little service that's demanded. As I indicated, the main requirements are power and fiber. And in this case, there will be virtually once the data center's up and running, there won't be virtually any demand on water service because it will be a closed loop system. So they use the same water, circulate it through a closed loop to cool the equipment. So that has been a knock on data centers, but the industry has evolved and addressed most of the concerns that have been raised. And they are, you're dealing with the biggest companies in America, and they're also very concerned about environmental issues and those kind of things. So they have tried to address all of those issues as they've evolved and gotten better at what they're doing. So with that, I'll just, we do not have a community meeting set up yet. As Reggie indicated before he left, this is a city-initiated application. The city has asked that they want to do the first public meeting, and then we will do one after that. The developers will lead. And so we will address those questions at that time. But be glad to answer any questions here tonight.
Did the audience have any questions for the developer?
Your name again, sir? Your name again, please?
Woody Galloway.
Woody Galloway. My name is Eleanor Ross. I live in the South Fulton community, not in the immediate area where the proposed data center is slated to be built. But I want you to be genuine with your comments here tonight. The community is on high alert where data centers are concerned. We just had a huge community meeting prior to the vote from Union City about that data center going up, and we're not happy. You're going to have to do a stellar job in differentiating yourself from what is the norm for data centers in terms of the noise level, in terms of the water use, and in terms of the electricity. I'm sitting here tonight and it sounds like you're going to build another Krispy Kreme. Soft and sweet. It's not going to interfere with the quality of life. It's going to be real sweet. We're going to generate a whole lot of money. We care more about the quality of life for our neighborhoods as opposed to how much money a particular development can generate. We're not against development. We want the right kind of development that's going to be a good fit for the community and that's not going to impair our environment for the generations to come. We'll live and we'll die. But we've got generations of other young people that are going to live in these neighborhoods. And so we want to be sure that whatever is coming and whatever we're going to leave is going to be environmentally friendly as well. So I want you to be very clear that you're going to differentiate yourself from what we've done our research on and found out to be the perils of data centers on communities. I hope this is on tape because I'm going to remember exactly what your presentation was here tonight, that it sounds like it's going to be a Krispy Kreme, another Krispy Kreme, soft and sweet.
Can I address a couple of things? First of all, the noise levels that were at that meeting that were indicated, My understanding, I was not there, but the reports came back that they were talking about 80 to 90 decibels noise levels that were generated by data centers. The ordinance that the city of South Fulton initiated and passed requires that at the property line, that the noise level associated with data centers cannot exceed 65 dB during the day, which is a normal conversation, 65 dB during the day, and 55 dB at night. So that's in the ordinance. We have to adhere to that, or we will be shut down. Secondly, we're willing to stipulate that this will be a closed loop system, not an open loop system. The information that was provided at that meeting, it's my understanding that a data center would use 1 million to 5 million gallons a day of water. That is not the case in this situation. We will basically use water for toilets, for irrigation of the outside plants, et cetera, and for the break room for the office.
So the equipment won't need to be cooled?
No, it will be, but it's cooled by the same water that they originally put in.
I see, okay.
And then the same water is cooled and circulated through the facility, and it's what cools the actual computers. So it's very sophisticated. It's way above my pay grade, but I know that they're willing to make that commitment. And most of, or many of the companies have gone to closed loop systems because of this issue. Because many of the problems that have arisen have been in places like Arizona, Mexico, Texas, where it's very hot and you don't have a lot of water. We don't have that situation here right now, but we could. And I remember serious droughts in the 90s, right? And we haven't had those recently, but we're gonna have another one, right? So it's good to have a system that works, that you don't have to depend on drawing down large amounts of water just to cool the facility.
So we do understand that there's new technology governing the construction of data centers that can be implemented, but they can be pricey as well. So we do hope that you're willing to make the investment that's going to make it environmentally and friendly to the neighborhood when you do come in.
Yeah.
There is a gentleman who is a part of the community that builds data center that spoke very loudly at our very last meeting. He'll be on hand again, so you'll have an expert in the audience.
All right, thank you. Does that?
Michael Shapey, District 4. What kind of traffic is going to be associated with the center?
That's another great advantage. I mean, if you looked at that other map and you saw all those warehouse distribution facilities around this site, very few trips. There are approximately 70 to 100 people that will be on staff at this facility, and that's 24 hours a day. So you split that into two different shifts. So there's very little traffic, and there is no truck traffic after the computers are originally installed until they have to take out those and replace them with new equipment. So I think we limited ourselves to no more than 3 dock doors in the entire development, and that's because we don't need them. They don't have truck traffic, and that's what generally has been the cry against a lot of industrial.
And the noise you're talking about, are you specifically talking about the data center itself? The cooling equipment typically makes noise. Are you saying that any noise coming out of the facility is going to meet these decibel
Any
requirements?
noise except emergency generators that only run during emergencies, like if we have an ice storm, then they need electricity. They've got to have generators to run that. But it's only during emergencies and only to be tested for emergencies. And then the hours are restricted in the ordinance to between the hours of like 9 and 5 or something like that.
the power lines run right through the property. Any special infrastructure that you're gonna need to, pull power from them, transformers, whatever.
Yeah, we'll have our own substation on the site. So the power is transmitted, and this is again, kind of above my pay grade, but I did go to Georgia Tech though, so I can at least act like I know what I'm doing. We both did. But if there's power that runs through the site, it's at a higher capacity than what is used at the data center, so they have to ratchet down the power, and then use it at the level that they use it. And I don't even know what megahertz they use it at, so.
And last question, the buffer zone adjacent to the residential property, I like that you're increasing the buffer zone. Is that going to be existing vegetation, or are you eliminating vegetation and planting something?
There is a if you look at the ordinance as it's written very strictly. There's a certain amount that you have to leave in its existing condition. If you disturb any of the other, then you have to replace it back, and there's a specific requirement for tree density that's located in there. It's different than the normal tree density in the ordinance.
Do you know how much of it is going to be natural?
Don't right now.
Okay.
Don't right now.
Okay, thank you.
Glenda Collins. On monitoring the day and the night, will you keep a log of that? And if so, who's responsible for it?
Well, what happens is they reverse engineer so that they know that you're talking about a facility that, including the computer equipment inside, will be valued at between $3 and $10 billion. So they can't afford to be shut down. So
Okay.
they will reverse engineer it so that they're not even anywhere close to those noise requirements at the property line. The city their responsibility is, if there are complaints about noise, then they can monitor it and they can shut us down. We can't let that happen. So we've got to make sure that whatever needs to be done is done so that we do not exceed those noise levels.
Okay, and you received an abatement from Union City. Are you looking for an abatement from the city of South Fulton?
This is, first of all, we do
Tax.
not, I'm an attorney.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm an attorney I represent a bunch of different data center companies. So one of those data center companies received an abatement from Union City. They got the typical tax abatement that you get from various things. The numbers I quoted before are after those abatements. So even after those abatements, the city of Union City will receive an average of $11.2 million a year for the next 10 years, and then it goes up. And so they also receive bond revenue from that. They receive franchise revenue from the power company for the amount of power that goes through. The building permit fee for one of those data centers in Union City was $2.5 million. That is there's no way you spend that kind of money in processing of a building permit, so that is fees that are available for use by the Community Development Department. But I'm sure they will ask for an abatement, yes, that's the normal process.
And also on the water, you say when it's initially filled, then it's a closed loop where that water is recirculated?
Yes,
Does, at any point, is that water reduced by some means and you have to go back and refill it? And since it goes through this loop, that means it does not go to the wastewater treatment. Is that?
That is correct. The answer to the first question, I don't know how often they have to be replaced in terms of, at some point, everything breaks down and has to be replaced. And then you'd have to refill whatever the new system is, but it's not on a continuous basis. You don't lose water, it's like.
It kind of evaporates or something.
Well, no, see, that's the other system, is the normal if you look at the vast majority of office buildings in Atlanta, they would use chillers on the roof or chillers wherever, and it's actually water that's evaporated that causes the cooling to occur. And that's how a lot of the data centers that aren't closed loop, that's how they do it. There are other ways of cooling, but that's the main one. That's evaporation. It doesn't it's not that the water is gone, it turns into water vapor and then eventually it becomes rain and comes back down. But it is problematic for that jurisdiction. If you're in Arizona, you don't want your water vapor to go to Mississippi before it becomes. So anyway, in this situation, closed loop system is not gonna be a demand on the overall water.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Was there any questions from,
Michael, I knew you were gonna come up.
Thanks, Michael Venable, as a University of Georgia alumnus, all the current and
Hey, I
former
went to law
students.
school.
I appreciate y'all's comments on Georgia Tech, but just briefly, where exactly is the substation located, and is that property going to be deeded to the utility?
No, it will not be deeded to the utility. The utility builds so Georgia Power will build the substation. We will provide them a pad, they'll come in and install the equipment, we'll pay for the equipment and all of that, but they don't own the substation. Now, that's the one that we show. Right now, it's shown on the top of this drawing. Above, above Building A. We're not absolutely positive where that's gonna be. Right above the edge of, if you see where Building A is, and then you go directly north, you got that area that looks like mowed grass that, that's where the substation would be. Directly north of that are two properties that are owned by Georgia Power, and those properties are gonna provide transmission lines from this over to the west side of Stonewall Tell to service the Microsoft property on the other side of the road. But we don't have to have, that's not our,
Okay,
that's
I see.
not us.
Okay. All right.
But we're still working through the site plan details and all that kind of thing. We just got through the DRI last week. Because it's over 500,000 square feet, it's considered a development of regional impact. And so we had to go through the DRI process to look at traffic, look at impacts on all different things like, water, transportation, those kind of things. So we got that approval last week.
Okay, and I'll make an assumption that all of these buildings will be close to 100% brick.
I doubt they're generally tilt-up concrete, but what
Okay.
data centers are able to do is they're also able to do, spend the money and do aesthetic treatments to things, and that's something we work with community on. But you want them to be tilt-up concrete, because that is one of the things that keeps noise.
Insulation.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's insulation, it's also noise prevention.
okay. The brick on top of that also does aesthetics. Okay.
That's something we work on, especially on the front.
Okay.
all right, thank you. Did staff have,
One more, sorry. Yeah, Brian O'Donnell, Arizona State, the school y'all wish you had gone to. So, just out of curiosity, I think you would probably, I'm always looking at the neighbors, the ones with the houses. I'm just curious to know, or just some input, how much these, they're gonna be lit up at night. Hopefully it's not too much. And I didn't know whether it would be possible, since looking at the road and the satellite imagery, just to move the road to the opposite side of the building to access the other half of the property would probably help you a lot with the neighbors. Just a thought.
It's something lighting's dealt with in the ordinance, so that's
Right.
one.
So-
But we're also we're not gonna impact, we've got 150 feet of area that's gonna be treed between us and the adjacent properties. It'll be low, it'll be security lighting because they
No.
are high security
It is
facilities.
deciduous between there
I
and
think it's a combination.
I could see this, I could see I live a quarter of a mile from the warehouses that they speak of. And during the winter, I see the lights. A quarter of a
Mm-hmm. Well,
mile,
okay.
and we're talking about 150 feet. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it depends
know.
on topography, of course. So, that's something that we will be glad to work with folks on. That's not an issue.
All right, does staff have any questions for the developer? Hearing none, our last and final case is Z 24-026, along with the concurrent variance CV 24-010. The address is 555 and 0 Spence Road, 0 Old Sonoya Road, 0 Irving Road, and 0 Fayetteville Road. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from AG1, which is our agricultural district, to M1, which is our light industrial district, on an assemblage of parcels at 0 Roosevelt Highway to develop 1.8 million square feet spread over 3 buildings for light industrial uses. The applicant is also requests a concurrent variance from section 405.01 to reduce the rear buffer from 100 feet to 50 feet. This is in Council District 7.
Excuse me. Good afternoon, good evening, rather. My name is Henry Bailey, counsel for the applicant, KMT Partners LLC, care of Greg Bowler, who is the managing partner of KMT Partners. As Mr. Williams has stated, the request here is to rezone this property from AG1 to light industrial. And just one point of clarity from Mr. Williams' comment, this site plan has since been revised to reduce the square footage from 1.8 million square feet to 1.6 million square feet. Again, these are the proposed use, the proposed use of the property is light industrial. So that means the uses that are permitted in the light industrial zoning district, the type of warehouse and distribution type uses would permeate this site, would be the types of uses that are proposed for this site. The access, well, there are 4 points of access that are on this site: Fayetteville Road, Spence Road, and Old Sonoya Road. I think there's another one. Antonio, what's the name of that site? That road? That's Fayetteville. I'm sorry. And so at this point, this process has gone through the development of regional impact analysis, and with a full traffic study, a full traffic plan, or traffic study done on this site. Just for more general location of it, it's located immediately adjacent to Interstate 85. And Spence Road runs right through the middle of the site. And just one last point is the site is also located adjacent to the city of Fairburn, which is on the southern side. And so there's a number of different uses in that area, but this site is, again, located completely in the city of South Fulton. There's no proposal to do anything other than the light industrial type uses that, including manufacturing and warehousing, distribution type uses. We've been down this road before in the city of South Fulton, had these conversations before. I'm happy to take the same questions or any additional questions that you all might have.
Was there any questions from the audience?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am MJ Lord, and my family and I just recently purchased a home on Valley Brook Drive, which is south of the property you're describing.
On the other side of Interstate 85?
We are on Old Sonoya and Valley Brook, and Spence is on one side,
Okay,
and Sonoya is the other.
okay.
We just purchased this property, and I have quite a few questions.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Hopefully I can answer them all.
all right. Is this a done deal yet? Is this for sure, or is this the beginning stages of this?
This is the very beginning stages of
Okay.
it, beyond the fact that we've gone through the development of regional impact analysis.
Okay, if and when it's approved, when would breaking begin?
I am not sure. I'll have to ask the developer that question.
Sometime this year? 2025?
I couldn't tell you. I
don't
don't
know.
want to speak incorrectly.
Okay. Was there an environmental impact study done as far as displacement of the local? Now, my understanding, since I'm new and I've looked at aerial views,
Sure.
it's all woods.
Sure.
And I'm assuming all of those woods would be taken down for these 3 warehouses.
The woods that are necessary to be taken down to develop the actual buildings, yes, ma'am.
Okay, has an environmental impact study been done as of yet?
As a part of the application process, an environmental site analysis is required, which we did complete.
Is that available for homeowners to see?
It's public information, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are there going to be limitations to the amount of trees that are cleared? Because right now it's total forest behind our homes. There are 4 or 5 homes on Valley Brook Drive that back up to this property. It's all woods.
Sure.
We also have a creek that runs in the front of my house, in the back, I believe, of the other homes. It's a free-flowing creek right now. I'm wondering if there would be anything that would stop that creek from flowing?
No, ma'am.
Or there would be nothing damming it up or
We would not be
changing?
impacting the stream.
Okay. Light industrial, I looked that up because I wasn't sure
Sure.
what that entailed.
Sure.
It can be anything from laundry facilities to mechanics, welding. Do you have any idea what kind of businesses are going to be going in that area?
Not at this time. Typically, the types of end users that you would find for a site like this would not come into the site or offer proposals to lease the space until they have a building that they can look at and build.
Okay, will this be daytime and nighttime operations
I
perhaps?
couldn't tell you that until the actual end user will get in there.
Okay. Are there plans for fencing, like sound suppression fencing?
The types of uses that are supported or permitted in the light industrial zoning district would not generate the type of sound where suppression would be needed.
Would there be any kind of fencing separating the industrial warehouses from our properties?
I believe there's fencing all around it, is it not, Antonio?
It's wire fencing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We don't have, do you have?
We'll confirm that.
Okay. Again, someone else mentioned the lighting. Obviously, we have trees now. If they're asking, and I love the fact that these people are increasing it from 100 to 150. Love that. You're asking to decrease it from 100 to 50 from the property line.
We're maintaining the 100-foot buffer that's required between the industrial and the residential.
It's said that the variance is asking to go from 100 to 50,
Not in that location.
not at that location.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the winter, when there are no leaves on the trees, same as this gentleman said, it's going to be like landing lights for all of our homes in our backyards. Do you know what kind of lighting is going to be put up there? Will there be
do not.
like big stadium lighting with
No,
big
ma'am.
fluorescent lights?
I can
or
tell you
will
there
it
won't be any stadium lighting for sure. But the
Okay.
exact type of lighting, I wouldn't be able to tell you yet. But that's something we can have. We can have that conversation when we have.
Will
our
that
committee
conversation be in the one-on-one meetings?
Yes,
You're-
ma'am.
Okay. The buildings, there obviously sounds like they're going to be leased out to individuals or different businesses. They're not owned by anyone.
meeting. They'll be owned by the developer and then leased out to
Leased
the
out.
end user.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't know, again, if there will be 24/7 operation going on, day and night, traffic, noise?
I
at
can't
this
speak to that yet.
point?
Yeah.
All right. Right behind my house, there are 2 ponds. And I'm not sure, and I can't really tell
Is
where
there a way to zoom in on that, Mr. Williams?
I can't tell where Valley Brook Drive is on this, but would those ponds remain, or will they be filled in? Will that warehouse
We're not impacting any of the wetlands or the streams, so we won't be filling in any ponds.
okay. This goes back to what was cited in another conversation about industrial property impacting the value of our homes and resale. That's a huge concern. I don't know who all lives on Valley Brook Drive, but we're a small street.
Sure.
We only have a few houses that back up to this property and a few houses that would be facing it from across the street. We obviously don't want our homes impacted by this.
Understood.
So it would be really important to know before things happened as to how close, how bright, how noisy that's going to be. And then another thing, talking about the power supply.
Mhm.
Since we don't know what kind of businesses are going to be in there,
Mhm.
are there going to, no, you can't guarantee, but what are the assurances that we already have very low water pressure? I mean, at least at our house. I don't know about the other owners. Will the water pressure be impacted with a warehouse pulling water supplies? Because there could be a lot of businesses in there using water to operate their businesses.
The types of
Same-
water that you would find in these types of uses would be your restrooms, the offices, the break
Okay,
rooms,
so
stuff like
it
that.
wouldn't be anything that would have
No, ma'am.
laundry facilities where, I don't know, the chemicals, water, anything that they would have. It said light industrial could include dry cleaning or laundry services.
But I can tell you now that the types of building that this would not be a building where a laundry or a dry cleaning service would want to.
This is also not going to be like a trucking
No, ma'am.
warehouse where you have big semis coming in day and night.
Well, there will be some trucks doing deliveries to and from the site to that extent. And we've included all that information in our traffic study that we're happy to talk through
Okay.
in detail at our community information meeting.
All right. We also have power surges at our home. I don't know about anyone else. Our lights flicker constantly. Is that going to affect our lighting, or are you going to be on totally different transformers / power supplies?
I'm not an
warehouse.
engineer. I do not
No,
know how
I'm-
they're going to connect the power, but if that's a question that's
Would
really.
the warehouse be
Yeah.
on its own? power
Again, I can't answer that question at this moment, but when we do have our community information meeting, I'll be sure to have an answer for you on
Okay.
that.
And then, since I'm new, just really new to the area, how do we get that information? How do you get our addresses off of?
The city of
sign-up
South
sheet?
Fulton is gonna send me a full list of all the property owners that live within a 1 mile radius of the site. And right now, we have proposed a meeting in early May to host in person, with the councilwoman in the actual district for the site. In enough time such that if there's enough questions and enough concerns, that we'll host another in-person meeting to address any of the concerns. And again, those addresses will be provided to us by the city of South Fulton, through their GIS system.
Point of clarification, ma'am, you said that you stay off of Valley Brook and Old Sonoya?
Yes, if you turn right onto Valley Brook Drive.
Yes.
On
I
the
still don't
first
know.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's,
So
Can you s-
essentially, Valley
Where
Brook.
is Valley Brook?
right.
Okay,
So
I'm
the-
the first home.
So your site, your house is up here, we're
It's the-
all the way down here. So there's two parcels between our warehouse and that.
Good. That's
Absolutely.
what I
So,
understood
so the
it
point,
was.
the point I was trying to make was you actually live in Fairburn. So you
Yes.
may not get a notification because we are required to
Oh.
let people know who live within the city of South Fulton.
How
but I
will we be
would-
notified?
I would
Can we
encourage,
Leave information with you?
I will, after the meeting, I will get your information.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
was there any more questions from the audience?
Yeah, I know, right?
Michael Shapey, District 4. I'm familiar with this area. I'm kind of troubled by where you're going to be accessing, where your trucks are going to be accessing. I know the two main roads going through there, and one is highly congested already with traffic. Where do you plan to access? How are you going to access these warehouses?
Well, you can see on the site plan here, Sonoya Road running through the middle of the site.
So are you building a special road?
Antonio, you want to speak to that? Antonio is our civil engineer on the project, and he can give you more. You might as well use this microphone right here. Do you need a point?
I can speak to. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. So Old Sonoya Road is the loop road that you have to the west of the first warehouse, and that connects back to Sonoya Road. Sonoya Road has an on ramp onto 85.
Yeah.
So our truck traffic is coming directly off of 85, turning right onto Old Sonoya Road, and then accessing the site.
Okay.
Old Sonoya Road right now is somewhat of an unpaved road, unmaintained. That was a condition that came up in the DRI, that we are improving Old Sonoya Road to support our trucks, and we're not going anything. Our trucks are not going past, essentially that intersection back into Fairburn. So
Okay.
we're limited, essentially, like most industrial traffic, we're trying to get from the warehouse directly to the interstate.
Are you
So-
gonna have a traffic light there?
Well, there actually are improvements already planned by GDOT at the intersection of Sonoya Road and I-85. So that is a proposed project that is planned to improve the existing traffic conditions at that intersection.
And what about on the other side? That's a, residential road, it's heavy, but.
You're talking about Spence Road between the two sites?
No, to the northeast of the map, on the map.
Northeast of the map
Fayetteville?
is Fayetteville.
Yes,
So Fayetteville, one thing we do want to clarify. So Fayetteville is only emergency vehicle access only. It's not for truck traffic. So since due to the size of our warehouse and the fire code, we have to meet a minimum separation between access points, and they have to be provided from separate right of ways. So that is emergency vehicle access only.
What is-
which is why it's a 24-foot road in lieu of your typical
okay,
30 foot.
so both of these warehouses will be, will have access to the old Sonoya.
Well,
That's-
yes, so the two warehouses would access Spence Road, and the way our traffic study, Spence Road is the one that's running between the two warehouses.
Right in the middle.
So the way that our traffic study, or our traffic engineer picked up, is that it's likely that industrial traffic coming from the northeastern, warehouse would cut through the first warehouse for ease back to 85.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
so
so you'd be-
that's why the drive's the line. That intersection was studied and as required with the development of regional impact. So,
What does the red line on your map represent?
the red line represents our property boundaries of the sites that we maintain or have in our assemblage.
And are you planning to clear cut that entire area?
No, the goal is never to clear cut. We're only seeking to clear the necessary land that we need to support the development.
Okay. Thank you.
And that, I believe you asked about the lake, so I believe the lake you're seeking or clarification about is just northeast or northwest of that first warehouse. So you can see that that's actually on a separate parcel, not impacted by our development.
And what was your name?
Antonio Sample.
Antonio? And I'm sorry, last name?
Sample?
Okay. One other question. The two parcels separating the warehouses from the homes on Valley Brook, do those belong to you?
No, ma'am.
Do we know if there's any intention or any use for that yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of?
Yeah.
Okay. So that buffer, we think, would remain there. Well, as
Well,
far
it's
as you're
undeveloped.
concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, we don't have any plans to develop it, but it's undeveloped land in I would imagine a desirable somewhat area. It
Okay.
potentially be developed
All
at some
right,
point.
thank
Mr. Venables?
Real quick, Michael Venable. Exactly what is the hardship for the variance you're requesting?
What is the hardship for the variance we're requesting?
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, when we get into our community information meeting, we can flesh that out more then, but I think for our standpoint, to the extent we're requesting a variance is due to our site plan conditions, the topography of the site, and needing to shift the building somewhat. And I'm not even sure that we still need that variance, we just asked for it initially, just to ensure that we had it in the queue, if we were gonna need it. So when we get to our community information meeting, one of the various ones, we can answer that question more directly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then one thing Henry did note is we did refine the site plan since this submittal.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Excuse me, I have one quick question.
Yes, ma'am?
So how many truck bays do you plan to have?
How many truck bays?
Yes.
I don't know if we have that answer yet, but I can find out for you. As soon as we know, I'll tell you. I think I still have your contact information.
You do.
All right, does staff have any questions for the applicant?
I did have one question looking at the site plan. Is there a waterway going through the property?
Yes, so there is a stream that runs between the small warehouse and the large warehouse. On that refined site plan, we did bring that building back to not impact that stream. So
So this site plan is, and I've provided that updated site plan, so we just need to replace it in the back. Any other questions for us?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not done. Couple more slides.
All right, so to recap the public participation plan report, All applicants are required to host one community meeting, and they must send out mailers to all the addresses that are within a mile radius and within the city of South Fulton. This public participation plan report is due on June 9th, and without it, you will be recommended denial.
All right, so again, some important dates to keep in mind. So as mentioned, the public participation plan report is due June 9th. The public hearings, which are required that the applicants attend in person for the planning commission meeting, will be June 18th. And then for the mayor and city council, it will be July 8th, 2025. I believe our director has some final comments from us.
I do. Thank you, Reggie McClendon, once again, very briefly. This is our, I believe, third CZIM meeting that we've done in person. This is the best turnout we've had yet in person since we came back to doing in-person meetings since the pandemic. We posted signs this time around. We're going to continue that practice. It seems like that that was helpful in getting some more turnout. So the community zoning information meeting is not meant to be a public hearing. It's meant to be a conversation between the community and the developers, kind of at the beginning of the process. So I say that to say that these individuals will not be immediately leaving this space once we are done with the public part of this meeting. They will remain here if you all want to come up and have more conversation with them, more suggestions for them, more questions for them. Please do so. I want to encourage anyone who's watching this on YouTube, either live or in the future, to attend these meetings in person so that you can become a part of this conversation as well. Please keep up with this on our website at cityofsouthfultonga.gov. Is that the website? Cityofsouthfultonga.gov. April the 10th, we have a... What do we have on April the 10th?
On this Thursday, April 10th at 6:30 p.m., we will hold our final meeting for the Phase 2 of our comprehensive 5-year update. It will be at Burdette Park. That address is 2945 Burdette Road. It will begin at 6:30 p.m. We have flyers outside where the agendas were. We also have a poster here where you can use the QR code to access our website for more information. There is a live survey that we would like everyone to fill out. Again, this information is for our 5-year comprehensive plan update, and this Thursday will be the final meeting for the Phase 2. Phase 3 meetings will start in May, but again, this is the final design phase for the comprehensive plan update.
Do you have the comprehensive plan website?
The comprehensive plan website is COSF, so City of South Fulton CompPlan.com. So COSF CompPlan.com. Again, you can use your phone to tap the QR code. It'll take you right to the website.
Yes, and on the website, there are interactive maps. There's a survey we want everybody to take. So please participate in that. It's a very important 5-year update that we are doing for our South Fulton Comprehensive Plan. We want as many citizens to be involved as possible. I'm going to be quiet now, but thank you very much for everybody for attending this meeting.
And as always, we thank you for choosing the City of South Fulton.